Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit in this video about learning your sounds, learning your bird sounds, and some useful tools to learning bird sounds. In another video, I overview using a smartphone to make bird recordings, and what I'm showing you here in this screen in Audacity is a 7-minute sound recording made around a neighborhood in my area. And there are lots of bird sounds in this recording. It's a decent quality recording. And so I have visualized this in Audacity using the spectrum view. And that allows me to see basically the patterns of the bird sounds. And so I'm going to just play a little bit for you. So there are a lot of sounds in here, but in particular, there's this repeating buzzy sound, okay? And I'll play that for you again. So right where these smudges are, there you go. It's going to be again right here. And there's one right here. Okay, and I could focus on that as my first sound because I see it over and over again in the recording. And I happen to know that's a spotted towhee, but if you don't know what that is, and one great start to learning your sounds is to take a clip. And I recommend taking a clip of 20 to 30 seconds of a sound. Don't crop very close to the edges of the sound. Leave some space. It actually takes some time to process a sound for the hearing and the brain to connect. And take sort of a nice recording or snippet that's got several of those sounds. You can then use the tools in Audacity to copy and paste that sound as a new recording. I'm just going to view this in Spectrum again so you can see this is indeed the same section of sound that I had selected. And you can then save that and then send that to somebody who knows their bird sounds to help you identify it. Whenever you're saving in Audacity, don't save it as a project because that saves it in the native Audacity format that actually has multiple files associated with it and is not easily shareable. You're either going to export the sound as a WAV, which is a high quality sound, or as an MP3 if you're going to upload it to a site, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. You might need to export it as an MP3 file because it will compress that file, but you'll lose some sound quality there. So you can do that and then let somebody listen to that sound as a little isolated snippet. You can then, once you've identified it, actually name the sound and share it with a community of people that are interested in this sort of work. And I'll show you a couple of good resources. Okay. One, I'm actually going to go to this screen, is the Macaulay Library of Natural Sound, and that's associated with Cornell Lab of Ornithology, which runs all about birds, birds of the world, and eBird. And so the Macaulay Library is focused on media, bird-related images, videos, and sound. And so I can search for sounds in the library. If I type in spotted towhee, which I've done here, it comes up with images, videos, all sorts of things. But I can filter the information by just sounds if I want to look at sounds. And I see these spectrogram images. And boy, this really looks a whole lot like what I was seeing in my recording. So then I can go listen to it. And yes, it sounds the same. There's another site called Xenocanto, and Xenocanto is a little bit different from the Macaulay Library in that it's kind of like a wiki for people interested in bird sounds. And people submit recordings of bird sounds from all over the world to Xenocanto, and there are people who moderate and check those sounds, but it relies very heavily on the observers knowing their bird sounds. So every now and then you can find a misidentification on Xenocanto if it hasn't been flagged yet by a moderator. So there's some tricks to using Xenocanto if you're new to it. I'm going to type in spotted towhee. And it's going to show me a map. I can zoom into my map. because these points here are actually recordings of spotted towhee. And so I can actually zoom into my region and listen to recordings from my region right from the map. Okay, and here are the different sound files. I can also use this complete table of the files to figure out what types of sounds I want to listen to, songs or calls, and I can look at different regions in the United States to listen to. And one thing I usually do is I want to make sure I'm listening to sounds of birds that have been seen, because then you're very confident about the identification of that bird. Another cool aspect of Xenocanto is you can create an account with it and you can upload sounds to it. You can contribute your own sounds that you've recorded to the knowledge database on Xenocanto. And you can upload sounds including mysteries. And so if you have a recording and you have had other people review it, you've looked through Xenocanto, you've looked through the Macaulay Library, you've consulted with somebody who knows bird sounds, and you still can't figure out what it is, you can submit it as a mystery bird. And you can upload your MP3 file. You have to enter some data about your recording. But then if you provide enough detailed information, you'll get an identification or a best guess at that identification from somebody who knows a lot about bird songs. And this is just a map of some of the mystery recordings that have been submitted recently. And so that's really useful. Once you have an identification, you can convert that mystery recording to a known bird sound and submit it to Xenocanto. And so that's some of the useful tools that you can use when you're trying to learn your bird sounds.